To the author of the new book, 60, A Diary of My 61st Year, by the writer Ian Brown. If that sounds familiar to you, you may have known him or his name from The Boy in the Moon, which was a New York Times best book of the year and winner of several awards, and some other things that he's written about. But this book touches us in an interesting place because the thing I like about it, and I'm still reading it, is you're just very brutal and honest about the feelings. I mean, you don't hold anything back here.
I thought because it's a diary, I can actually tell the truth. I mean, one of the difficulties I think of getting older is that there's so much cant and just received wisdom on the subject that we're constantly forced away from what we actually think and feel, as opposed to what we're supposed to think and feel. Yeah. I remember the first time it occurred to me that I was getting older. I work in a newspaper. We have these story meetings. And I had just finished reading this book about early voyages around the tip of South America, early maritime explorations at Cape Horn. And I was sitting in this meeting waiting to pitch my stories, and a young guy jumped up, and he said he really wanted to write a story about gay porn, about homosexual pornography, because he had seen a lot of it, and he thought it was a very interesting thing. And so I said, "Oh, Cape Horn. I love Cape Horn. It's fantastic." And he looked at me and he said, really, I wouldn't have pegged you. I said, "Oh, come on, what's not to like? The towering masts and et cetera, et cetera." And this went on for like 5 minutes, and finally somebody said, he's saying gay porn, and you think he's saying gay porn. And I realized my hearing was going at that point. And I started reading about getting older and keeping this diary. And, we think it's just happening to us, but in fact, aging is something that begins. The brain has reached its maximum and begun its hopefully long decline at 28. Your skin starts to sag and collapse at 35. By 40, your bones are turning to ash. And we all, we're aging from the moment we're born. And yet I can go out and I can look at a guy, and I'm 62 now. Right. I can look at a guy who's 32 years old, and if he is fractionally balder than I am, I can actually look at him and say, "Oh, look at that poor guy. He's so much closer to the end than I am." This incredible capacity to deny it is amazing.
It is, and we check ourselves, don't we? I mean, you're always checking it. Am I still okay? Do I still have it? You have to, and as hard as I try not to do that, I'm like, well, wait a minute. I wonder, am I slipping here? I mean, you really go through that process, and we have no measuring stick, for instance.
Well, we have no measuring stick, and I think the reason we do it is, and this is something that becomes clearer to you as you get older, is that we really have no control over what happens to us physically. I mean, you talk about preparing all the stuff you can prepare, financial readiness, getting your affairs in order, having a job that you like and can continue to do. But physically, I mean, you can diet, you can eat properly, you can do crossword puzzles till the cows come home to think keep your brain in order. But ultimately, we really have no control over what hits us and when it hits us and how we will respond to it. And I think knowing deep down, certainly unconsciously and sometimes consciously, that you have no control, it forces you into a more, I guess, a kind of humbler position. Mm-hmm. Maybe a less, not less aggressive position, but a more alert position, and that really changes things. But it's that coming face to face, the fact that you have no control, that makes you want to either run away from it, go to bed forever, or deny that it exists.
That's right. That's right. I just I found out I'm not bigger than life. Life is actually bigger than me. My guest is Ian Brown. His book is 60, A Diary of My 61st Year. You have got to read this book, folks. It's a great look at where we're all headed or where we may already be. We'll be back with the last segment on this with Ian. This is Home and Family Finance. I'm your host, Paul Berry. Thank you.